Welcome to Festool TV. My name is Frank, and today I'd like to show you how to work with the Festool company's drilling system for rows of holes. What can I do with this drilling system? You'll find rows of drill holes all over on cabinet walls, where the corresponding fittings, such as hinges, are assembled or screwed in. These hinges, these frame joints, are always a specified measurement, and that's a measurement of 32 millimeters. I also have the option of securing different drawer fittings or guides in this 32 millimeter system. In order to be able to make these drill holes easily and at equal intervals, we have a system. This means I need the guide rails with the relevant 32 millimeter drills at a length of 1 meter 40. Or I can also assemble a long guide rail with the relevant drill holes at 2 meters 42. Then we need an adapter plate, a base plate, where my router is assembled on this guide plate. Either the 1010, the small one, or the 1400 millimeter. Everything is then adjusted to the correct specifications and aligned, free from any backlash to my guide rail. As soon as I activate the compensator, the bolts click into these borings, and I can drill the hole by pressing down with my router. I can, of course, do this over the whole side of the cabinet, or only where I would like to have holes. To now know the exact distance to my front edge or the upper edge, we have the corresponding equipment to help with this. The equipment includes sliding blocks, which give me a stop for the edge, so that I always know when my upper drill hole begins. I also have the corresponding accessories for the front edge, which I can use based on the size. I've used this on 37 millimeters because that's my row of drill holes, which are required for these types of fittings, so that the exact intervals are guaranteed. The auxiliary stop is attached to the guide rail with clamping screws. Now I can put my guide rail in position on the stops and secure the whole guide rail with the corresponding clamps. As soon as the guide rail is secured, I disassemble these auxiliary stops again, and now I can put my router on the guide rail.
Ich suche mir jetzt das erste Bohrloch, wo ich starte, schließe das Ganze mit meiner Absaugung und Stromversorgung an.
Now I look for the first drill hole on which I will start. Now I connect everything to my suction and power supply. Adjust the depth, that is, how deep I am ultimately going to drill in, whereby I drill right down on the workpiece and put my turret stop at that height here. Here I drill to 8 millimeters. That should be enough. Now I start the router and drill. The drilling is now finished. Now we have to drill the other side. This means now I can release my guide rail. I have the option of turning everything very comfortably with the VAC clamping table. And to re-secure my guide rail on this side. You must ensure that you know where the top is and drill into my stops. Where I position my guide rail exactly depends on the fittings that I assemble. In the front, I have my hinges. In the rear area, I may have to take note of the guide rail or the drawer guides and establish the intervals accordingly. In this case, we'll drill into the 37 millimeters as we did on the front side. This means we simply clamp onto the guide rails again. Adjust everything. That is, insert the metal pins and again drill to the stop from the other side. Then secure everything with the clamps. Disassemble the support stops. And now I am again starting with my first drill hole. Of course, in the same alignment as on the front edge. The second row of drill holes is drilled, so of course the other side of the cabinet must also be drilled. Or if there's a center partition, that must be drilled through. We can deliver the corresponding drills for this. So this side is finished. Next, we must work on the doors. For this, we look for virtually the center of a 32 millimeter drilling, and then afterwards, set the 35 millimeter drill hole for the corresponding fitting, that is, for this hinge. For this, we quickly reassemble the whole thing and start again. As you have seen, we have now disassembled the side part and assembled the door component. Now we must make sure we have the correct position for the hole of the hinge at 35 millimeters.
Des Topfbandes, 35 mm. Und hier haben wir die dementsprechenden
Here we have the corresponding sliding block, which we have to move.
Ja, versetzen müssen, beziehungsweise
or in this case, simply turn over.
Das heißt,
we have 32 millimeters for one locking mechanism
32 mm
and 16 millimeters for the other. If I turn the sliding block,
und so habe ich dann
so half of my distance of 32 millimeters, and I know the exact center of this row of holes. I assemble this again and go in the opposite direction.
Fahr nun dagegen, ist meine obere Kante. Und jetzt muss ich eigentlich nur noch von der
This is my upper edge, and now I only have to find the correct distance from the front side of the door. The adjustment on my fitting is important. In this case, it is 32 millimeters. This means I have to put my auxiliary stop at a 32 millimeter distance. It will now be clamped here, and thus put back in the right position and aligned. Now secure everything. Disassemble it with the help of the clamps and the auxiliary stops.
Und die Hilfsanschläge dann wieder demontiert. So, die Oberfräse
the router is now readjusted. And it can also be delivered fitted with a 35mm drill.
Bohrer versehen, der ebenfalls im Lieferumfang ist. Den setze ich jetzt hier auf.
I am now putting this
Das Ganze
here.
jetzt noch
Connect
mit
everything to my
meiner
suction and
Absaugung
power.
und Stromversorgung anschließen. Die Frästiefe habe ich
I have
jetzt
set the
hier
cutting
auf
depth at 13
13
millimeters.
mm eingestellt. Das heißt,
This means
meine
that the hinges
Topfbänder
require this cutting depth.
benötigen eben diese Frästiefe. Meine Rasterung gibt mir
My
jetzt das
grate now gives me the
entsprechende Maß
necessary
vor.
measurements.
Wir
We now
starten die
turn on the
Maschine,
machine
gehen
and
mit der
reduce the
Drehzahl nach
speed.
unten. Auf der anderen Seite
We do
genauso.
exactly the same on the other side.
So, die zwei
The two drill holes for the
Topfbänder,
hinges have been drilled.
Topflochbohrungen sind gebohrt. Ich kann nun die
Now I can
Führungsschiene
disassemble the guide rail
demontieren. Und meine
and assemble my hinges with a quick release fastener.
mit dem Schnellverschluss montieren. Soweit ist das
Now the door
Türenteil
component is finished.
fertig. Jetzt
Now I
setze
put the
ich
side
wieder
up
hier
here.
meine Seite auf, nehme die
Take the hinge
Bandsockel,
base,
positioniere diese
position it
in
in my
meiner
32mm interval
32mm
drilling,
Abstandsbohrung. Das Ganze wird
and
jetzt noch
screw it together with a cordless
mit
screwdriver.
Akkuschrauber verschraubt. Hier habe ich natürlich
Here I
das
have, of
Drehmoment
course, set up the
eingestellt, um die Schraube
torque
nicht
so
zu
that it cannot be
überdrehen.
overscrewed.
Und nun
Now
kann
I can
ich
hang
meine
my
Türe
doors.
einhängen. Einmal,
Once, twice,
zweimal und schon
and
habe
now
ich
I have
hier
assembled my
meinen
fitting.
Beschlag montiert.
We will,
So
of
werden
course,
wir
do the
gleich
same thing
weitermachen
again
auf
for
der
the other
anderen
side.
Seite. Das heißt, dass ich
This
dann
means that I have the
Gegenseite
corresponding
habe, den Boden
side.
dazwischen
The
rein
ground in
und
between
Rückgang.
is clean,
Schon habe ich
as
hier
well as the rear
meine
wall, and I have already finished my box.
So, das war's
That's
schon
it
wieder
for
für heute.
today.
Ich denke,
I
Ihnen
hope
hat's
you
ein
had
bisschen
fun
Spaß
watching
gemacht,
this on
dabei zu
Festool
sein
TV.
bei Festool TV.
I look forward
Ich
to
freue mich
next
auf ein
time.
nächstes Mal.
Until
Ihr
then,
Frank.
Frank.